How do you defend yourself from a defamation accusation? That is a relevant topic for over 1,000 people who committed this crime against me. So I made a video about it in which I present to you the two main ways of defending yourself from the defamation accusation. In order to differentiate between the two very important types of defamation, according to Dutch criminal law, Article 262 presents aggravated defamation. There is no exception. There are no exceptions regarding this article. So if you are found guilty of defamation, of aggravated defamation, according to Article 262, then that is that. You are guilty of aggravated defamation. However, if you are found guilty of regular defamation according to Article 261, these two exceptions can apply to you. It is crucial to explain that these important aspects come into play only when one is found guilty of defamation. So if you remember from the previous video in which I created a 6-point prosecution checklist that must all be met in order for aggravated defamation to be proven, and the first 4 need to be met in order for regular defamation to be proven. So in this case, this video addresses the scenario in which only the first 4 points are proven by the prosecution, and the defendant needs to defend themselves once they are found guilty. So these points, first, the accusation needed to be made in public to a third party in order for it to be criminal. It is self-explanatory that a lot of people need to see the defamatory content. Second, the defamation needs to cause harm to the victim's reputation and honor. Third, the defamation needs to be committed intentionally. And fourth, one of these two exceptions does not apply. So what are these exceptions? Here they are. The first one is defense. When you're defending yourself from another defamatory claim, you are not committing defamation. So now defense is divided into two different types of defenses. One is you're defending yourself, and two, you're defending someone else. So, for example, if someone says something extremely negative about you and makes it public, you can defend yourself. If they say that about your friend, you can defend your friend. You are allowed to do that. However, there are a few critical aspects that must be absolute. So a defense only exists once an attack takes place. As you can see on the board, the starting point is not defense, it is attack. You cannot defend yourself if no one is attacking you. So if you're making a defamatory claim about someone and there is no attack, you're not defending yourself, you're attacking the other person. So that is point number one. It starts with an attack, then you defend yourself or another person, and finally the defense needs to address the attack. So when you defend yourself from defamation, you need to address the exact defamatory content that targeted you. So you cannot say something unrelated that is defamatory to the other person, because then you're not defending yourself, you're just attacking them. So to give an example, if someone accuses you of theft, and in order to prove that the accusation is false, you need to provide a context in which the theft was supposedly committed. And in that context, you also mention that the person who accused you was, cheating on your girlfriend. So that was an essential part of the information that you needed to provide in order to truly present the context in which the false accusation of theft was made. If you wouldn't mention that, you wouldn't be able to defend yourself properly. So as a result, that is not an attack to the other person, but it's part of your defense. However, if the same person accuses you of theft, and then you fire back with, yes, but you beat someone up 2 years ago, well, that is unrelated. And you're not defending yourself, you're just attacking the other person. You're just exchanging punches, you're not defending yourself. So imagine two MMA fighters, and someone throws a punch to your face, but then you defend your leg. It doesn't work. It simply doesn't work. And if you hit back, then you're also attacking. You're only meant to defend yourself. So this is an exception. If the defamatory claim was made to defend yourself, then you're not guilty of defamation. But there are two critical aspects. First, there needs to be an attack. You cannot defend yourself without an attack. And second, the defense must directly target the attack. You cannot say something unrelated or that is slightly related. You only need to say exactly what is necessary to protect yourself from the defamatory attack. So if imagine another situation, someone says that, let's use the same example, someone says that you stole something, and then you tell them, no, I didn't, and you provide proof, you defend yourself and you make it obvious, and then the other person, because they want to distract from the first defamatory claim, they make another defamatory claim. And they say, yes, but you're also a rapist, even if you're not. So then they made another defamatory claim. They didn't defend themselves, and even if they would say something that is true, they still didn't defend themselves as long as they didn't directly address the attack. But there was no attack. So in this case, once again, someone accuses you of theft, you say, no, I'm not a thief, and here's the proof, and then they distract from that by making another defamatory claim, and they pretend that there will be some sort of defense. But there's no defense, because you defended yourself, you did not attack anyone. Both of the person's claims, both of the claims are unprovoked, and they represent attacks, not defenses, attacks. Now that is the case even when even when these claims are true. So if they say, let's use simpler examples. If you say you cheated on the exam, and you said and you didn't give me the money for whatever, and these are two separate things. So first they say you cheated on the exam, and it doesn't matter if you did or not. That is still defamation, because there's no reason to say that. It's unprovoked. You didn't attack them, they attacked you. And then you say, no, I didn't, or shut up, or whatever, and they feel threatened, so they make a second defamatory claim. That is another defamatory attack. Now, the second examples are relatively simple and not important, but in serious situations, this is extremely important. So when there's a large audience, when the situation is public, and stuff like this, for example, if someone says that you're accused of a crime, it doesn't even matter if it's true or not, it causes a lot of harm. Now, this was number one, attack and defense. Number two, there's public interest. So when something is of public importance, when society needs to know something, in order to make society's functioning better, or to protect society from some sort of harm, then it is justified to make a defamatory claim for public interest. However, there's a critical distinction. As you can see on the board here, there's public interest that results from curiosity, and there's public interest that results from true, valuable, legitimate interest. So most of the cases, most of the conflicts that you can think of, they are here. They represent curiosity. If someone accused another person of rape, or of stealing something, or if two people are fighting, or whatever, and defamatory claim is made and it is made public, it is never justified. Because that sparks, even if it sparks people's curiosity, and they're interested in the event, they're interested as a result of curiosity and not a legitimate reason which affects society's functioning, which is what we're looking for in criminal defamation. So, for example, if a politician steals the funds for something important and uses them for self-interest, well, that is important to society, because it's their money as well, it's their community as well. So then if you share that, it is important, it affects the functioning of society. Or if there is anything such as a systemic problem in society, a series of behavioral patterns that are negative to society and they happen repeatedly and that is a clear issue, then that can be addressed. So there are situations in which it is justified to make a defamatory claim in order to expose something that is of public interest. Now, even if the issue is of public interest, there's another point. This consists of necessity and proportionality. What does that mean? So first, it is self-explanatory that regardless of whether the defamatory act is considered criminal or not, the defamatory act will cause harm to the target. The critical point is that harm justified? So how do you balance this out? If the positive value that the respective defamatory claim brings when society is informed of it is greater than the harm caused as a result of making it public, the harm caused to the target is proportional to the value that society receives when the statement is made public. And when you put that into perspective and the positive value that society receives is greater than the harm caused, the harm that targets the harm that the target of the defamatory act experiences, so when that positive value is greater than that harm, then it is justified to inform society of the respective information, even if the target of the defamatory act will suffer some amount of harm. And finally, the last point is good faith. So this is slightly abstract and slightly subjective, and it differs from case to case. However, one key condition for defamation to take place is the intention to harm. So in theory, if it is proven to the greatest possible extent that the perpetrator acted in good faith, they are not criminally liable. However, that is difficult to do. And it depends from case to case, and a lot of elements need to be considered when trying to figure out if someone acted in good faith. For example, all the reasons that stood behind the action need to be taken into account, even those that are not entirely clear. So possible motivations that are not proven, they still have to be taken into account. The actual consequences need to be taken into account. Anything that so the consequences, the intentions, what was the reaction of the perpetrator after they saw that they hurt the victim or the target of the defamatory act, and other similar aspects that create this moral character based on the situation. So the moral character of the moral character of the perpetrator. So if it can be proven that they truly believe that the information was needed for public interest, and even if that's not the case, if they can prove that they truly believe that it was necessary to share that information, and all evidence proves that they were acting in good faith, there are two options. In most scenarios, they won't be able to prove that to the greatest possible extent, so therefore they will still receive a punishment. However, it will be a lesser punishment. But if they prove to the greatest possible extent that they acted in good faith, it is possible for their action to be considered not criminal. So these are the two exceptions. Now, how does this apply to this phenomenon? My version of the truth is simple. All people committed aggravated defamation. This means that at least 99% of cases they committed aggravated defamation. This means that they made something up and then they committed the defamation, and the entire process, the basic structure was explained in the last video. The psychopathic intention was there. All these crimes, all this series of crimes are extremely serious. In the cases that might not represent aggravated defamation, some people might have shared information, false information that they were made aware of from other people without 100% knowing if the information was true or false, and then they spread it on the internet with the intention to harm. But these are the minority of cases. In most cases, people simply lied, they made up the false information, and they used it to commit criminal defamation. Now, how does this apply? I'll give you a simple example. It is mentioned in my report as well. I won't use my personal examples, my personal cases, but I will provide a proof of concept. For example, imagine, or actually no, I will not provide specific proof of concept examples. I will just generalize because otherwise this video will take very long. So in principle, it is in 99% of cases, possibly 100% of cases, it is at least possible to prove that the first four points of the prosecution checklist are met. This means that everyone is guilty of defamation according to Article 261, and the specific environment, the specific consequences that, not the environment, the specific consequences of their crimes and the psychopathic intentions make their actions specifically serious in a negative way, and that requires criminal liability. Now, besides this, I will be able to prove that many people, the majority of people, committed aggravated defamation. Now, once again, this won't be possible to be proven in all cases, and that is an irreparable injustice that I have to live with, because I know that people committed aggravated defamation, and I won't be able to prove that to the greatest possible extent. I will only be able to prove that they committed regular defamation, and that is because it is difficult to prove that they lied to the greatest possible extent, which is a key condition. It is the key condition and the difference between regular defamation and aggravated defamation. So once again, those crimes were only committed because the government stripped me of some of my fundamental human rights and functionally legalized these crimes against me, and now I have to live with these irreparable injustices. However, partial justice is still attainable. So this means that everyone, nearly everyone who deserves a criminal record will get a criminal record, even if it is not for the specific crimes that they committed, but a lesser aspect of those crimes. So their crimes are not proven to the greatest possible extent, but just to some extent. In either scenario, they will rightfully get a criminal record, and the possibility of asset forfeiture is there for everybody. And this means that the crime rewards, the money, fame, and so on that they received for committing those crimes can be rightfully taken away from them. So partial justice is attainable. Now this is the process that these people will use to defend themselves in the scenarios, so in the cases in which I cannot prove that aggravated defamation took place. It is crucial to mention, as I did in my report, that these exceptions do not apply. There was no defense, so I did not attack anyone, and I made a specific video that targeted this issue and explained everything, including what my journal, what the purpose of my journal is, in which even though I make observations about other people, they are meant to defend myself from expected attacks of defamation. So this is a unique situation in which preventive defense tactics are needed in order to combat society's attacks of defamation. So every day, on a daily basis, society commits these crimes. So I have to be preventive about it. I need to expose it. So that I'm forced to make these observations. In most cases, it is impossible to misinterpret these observations as defamation. However, in a small percentage of cases, there is an argument that the information mentioned as a result of my observations could have some detrimental effects on the specific people. However, that is 100% justified in this unique situation in which some of my fundamental human rights were illegally taken away, and the society exploits that vulnerability on a daily basis nearly everywhere I go, and they literally commit this crime against me to the extent that nothing that I ever accidentally, nothing that I might have accidentally done when writing my observations down. Writing my observations down could have ever been so. Yeah, I might not have not said it right, but that is the point. So the crimes that people commit on purpose cause a lot of harm. They're somewhere here, while my accidental possible defamation as a result of making observations that are meant to protect myself are somewhere here. So the difference is this much. Even if then those would be considered defamatory, the damage would be very small. It would be relatively insignificant. It would be a very mild form of defamation. I don't see any scenario in which it can be considered criminal. Now, once again, back to the main point. This is just a proof of concept. It will be applied separately in all cases, but generally 99.9% of cases, or somewhere around 99% of cases, does not go that far, there was no issue that required the public's interest. It was nothing that affected society's functioning. If anything, there was just curiosity, and that does not apply as public interest. Secondly, there was no attack. I attacked no one. I made no defamatory claims about no one. All I did was defend myself from other people's attacks. So people's defamatory claims are unjustified. These two exceptions do not apply. And now all that needs to be done is take everything to court. Everybody needs to present their evidence, and it is self-explanatory. I will be able to prove everything. This will, of course, not be admitted because I know the reaction of society to seeing the truth about the crimes that they committed, and it is always the same. It rejects it. It uses its delusional system, its false conclusions that are fundamentally wrong and illogical. They're based on false information, and it's disinformation campaign that is combined with the delusional system in order to reject the truth. If nothing works, I already know that I will be censored, which is unfortunate. But this video is meant to expose the truth. It happens one step at a time. If just a few people realize what is happening and they start acting as they should in order to get justice, if every day a few people are awakened from this mass psychosis-like phenomenon, eventually it will inevitably lead to a civil movement, a non-violent civil movement, and to the rightful nullification of the illegal deal, of the illegal government intervention that strips some of my fundamental human rights away. That is what needs to be done, and the rest is just justice taking place in court. And once that happens, I will prove everything.